we have more than one stream of income than his full-time income, but it has enabled us to meet goals and dreams that we had for a long, long time.
Oh,
So this was like all of this that I'm telling you was 10 years ago. And I would never, ever, ever regret making that decision
yeah.
because I knew like my goal, my end in mind was to have free thinking children. So my motivation all started there. I have to figure out how to make sure I can work a little bit and still be at home with my kids full time.
Welcome to Radiant Mom Rising. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and uplifted. I'm your host, Mary Dibble, and in each episode, we dive into amazing stories, insights, and conversations that help moms like you chase your dreams and embrace your worth. Let's rise and shine together. Welcome to Radiant Mom Rising, where we dive deep into the challenges and triumphs of motherhood and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Mary Dibble, and today's episode is one you won't want to miss. Before getting into the episode, I wanted to share about my exciting course, Mom Biz Mastery, that I have created for moms who are aspiring to become an entrepreneur or who already are and is looking to have genuine guidance and support through the ups and downs that go along with those endeavors. This course is designed to not only help you gain clarity and get started, but it's also meant to help you grow your business and yourself so that you can truly thrive in the way you deserve to. You also get to join an incredible community where we can come together for additional support, coaching, networking, and so much of what is needed to keep us all going no matter what. For a limited time, you can get in at a ridiculous low rate with lifetime access. This is a highly valuable course with expert guests and all the knowledge I have personally gained from the thousands spent to educate myself so that I can serve and help others like yourself. Be sure to check it out by clicking the link in the show notes. I hope to see you inside. In today's episode, if you are juggling work and the idea of homeschooling your kids, maybe you've wondered how to blend these two worlds or if it's even possible. Well, you're in the right place. Today, I'm thrilled to have Krista Baker with us, a mom who has turned the idea of homeschooling from a distant dream into her everyday reality. Krista's a digital marketing copywriter and consultant from Oklahoma. Passionate about helping small businesses thrive online, Krista started her marketing business after a career as a school teacher. She believes in impacting the world through family and enjoys collecting vintage items, reading, writing, and spending time outdoors. Krista has been married to her husband, Brock, for 16 years, and they have two daughters whom they homeschool and enjoy living on a small acreage in small town Oklahoma. Krista's journey from a full-time career to staying home and educating her children is nothing short of inspiring. She'll share her raw and honest experiences from the pivotal moments that led her to homeschool to how she's balanced work and teaching at home. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the thought of managing it all or simply curious about homeschooling, this episode is packed with insights and practical advice. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's jump into a conversation that could change the way you view homeschooling and work-life balance. Without any further ado, Krista Baker. Thanks for tuning in. I'm so excited to talk about what we're going to be talking about. I have Krista Baker with me today, and we're going to be talking about homeschooling kids while working, especially for us moms. This is a topic that I'm interested in because having little ones at home, something me and my husband have talked about is possibly homeschooling our kids with the way the public system's education system is nowadays. But it's like the idea of juggling it all, working and doing homeschooling. I brought on Krista here because it does this and she helps people with this. So Krista, thank you first and foremost for being part of my show and welcome.
Thank you for having me, Mary. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. So please, if you will, share with us your story behind this and your experiences with this of how you got into homeschooling with your kids and what it's been like.
Okay, so I'm just going to be like really raw and real and just kind of tell you that I worked full time when we had my first daughter. And basically, what happened was is that my younger brother died of a drug overdose. And I went into just this season of complete panic of like, I am losing all this valuable time with my child. I'm just like getting up and going to work and doing the grind and taking her to daycare, and she was only a baby. And now I'm just like met with this. These are the life choices that I have made, and it doesn't feel right anymore. I need to backtrack and pivot and do something different. So basically, I would not recommend this. I just came home and said, I'm going to quit my job to stay at home with our baby. I don't care how poor we have to live. I have to do it. So, and that's why I say I would not recommend doing that, because that was definitely a difficult transition. But to just give you an opener of what shocked me into going from full-time working mom to now I'm a stay-at-home mom. So in that transitional time, I obviously needed to figure out a way to make money. So I started decluttering our house. So I had opened up an eBay store, was selling on Craigslist, and just doing all kinds of different things in that fashion, like going into garage sales, finding stuff to flip. So that is the first thing that I did as far as working goes. And I should actually, previously, before I went into this, I did get my teaching certificate, so I am a certified teacher.
Oh, nice.
But I ended up going into a completely different working field. And that is the field that I was working in, was oil and gas. I was in like risk management. That was the job that I quit to come stay at home. So just, yeah, I feel like I should have made that a little bit more clear. So anyway, so I kind of like thrusted myself into this whole lifestyle of working full time, and now I'm at home with my kid, and I got to figure out how to make all of this work. So what basically happened was I had planned that once she was a certain age that I was going to go back to working full time. I had no intentions of homeschooling at all. And what I ended up doing was interviewing different preschools in our area to see if it would be a good fit for us. And so I had this previous experience of teaching and decided not to go into teaching for multiple reasons that I won't get into right now. But basically, I had the thought, I could totally do this. Why would I work and pay someone else to teach my daughter when I could do all this at home with her virtually for free? Because they know it was just preschool stuff. So I went from having this like mindset that I needed these experts to teach my children to going through this growth experience of like, I could actually do this a lot better than they can. And I love my child way better, like way more than any of these people could, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of when she was about a year and a half. That's when I started diving into the homeschooling world. And when I say dive, I like went head first and just, I read and came across all of the books that I could. The very first book that I read was John Taylor Gatto's Dumbing Us Down. If you are really on the fence on whether or not to homeschool, I highly recommend that book. It will either piss you off to the point where you don't ever want to like touch it again and you're just going to ignore all the truth you read, or you're going to say, I got to figure out how to make this work. So, and that was my experience because I had taught. And as I said before, I decided not to go into teaching. So when I read all of his work, and I mean, when I read his first book, I ended up becoming obsessed with his work and read like a lot of his letters and all his other books that he had out, his blog content, his videos, everything, because I just resonated with what he says so much about the school system and how essentially this system was like set up to turn kids into employees.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, it was not set up to educate us more. In fact, like the title says it perfectly, it was to dumb us down. Like Rockefeller actually is like known to say that I am going to have them go through 12 years of school to teach them a whole lot about nothing. So and now we can openly say that I think a lot of us really do see that, but because our world is set up in this fashion, that's the way it is. So I'm saying all of this to just tell you that I really was in this space of like my whole core was shaken. I never thought I would homeschool in a million years, but I found this man who just spouted off all this truth that I like experienced as a student teacher myself, that I just all of a sudden had this huge motivation to homeschool and figure out how to make it work. And then like yourself, a lot of moms, we need two incomes, and my husband works very hard, and I will be super transparent and say I am not a feminist. I very happily and peacefully allow my husband to provide for me.
Yeah, I hear you.
I am not a boss babe. I do not need to like go out and work. I work because not only does it like help take a lot of the pressure off my husband's shoulders, like
Yeah.
that's the biggest reason because we have more than one stream of income than his full-time income, but it has enabled us to meet goals and dreams that we had for a long, long time.
Oh,
So this was like all of this that I'm telling you was 10 years ago. And I would never, ever, ever regret making that decision
yeah.
because I knew like my goal, my end in mind was to have free thinking children. So my motivation all started there. I have to figure out how to make sure I can work a little bit and still be at home with my kids full time.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's kind of like where I got to that point. I don't know if you have any questions for me on just everything I just kind of
No,
said.
I do want to point out though about what you're talking about because I very much agree with you about the school system. I mean, it's getting worse. I mean, it's just not changed over time. It's the same old, and it is. And some of it's getting even crazier. Some of the things they're allowing and teaching. I even see with my son in high school where there's teachers there that you can tell they're just there for a job. They don't even know the subject that they're put into, so they have all this stuff and they just give it to the kids to just have all these assignments and kind of figure it out on their own without really talking to them and sharing about it and educating them. It's like they're just there for a paycheck. And unfortunately, what sucks too is that teachers are paid like crap. So you also have that demoralizing of people feeling like they care and they're there for a purpose. And it gets to a point where it's like when you don't really take care of your workers, there goes that sense of them really kind of caring about showing up in the way you would want them to show up. So you got this mix of like chaoticness in the school systems. And what sucks is that you're right, it's only hurting the children. And one of the things that bothers me the most is that why are we not teaching our kids about self-love, about caring for themselves, about believing in themselves, about their worth? Why are we not teaching them about finances and about understanding how to budget, how to prepare, how to think about your future with retirements? Like, it's like unless you go to special college classes for that, I think that should be educated long before that in schools. So there's a lot of lack. So from your experience when you decided and you learned all this and you realized everything you learned about the truth, you know, what was it like when you actually just like started doing the homeschool? Tell us a little bit more about that. Like what that experience was like.
So, of course, being a previous teacher, I
Yeah.
had to have everything all set up perfect. I had delved into like a lot of homeschooling philosophies, so
Mhm.
that's actually something that I recommend people to do. And I actually did as a virtual teacher when I was working with homeschoolers.
Mhm.
So this is something I like give advice for professionally too,
Okay.
not just friend to friend, like we're
Yeah.
having a conversation here. I would highly recommend anybody kind of dive into like the Montessori method, the Waldorf method, what unschooling is, what eclectic unschooling, traditional unschooling, classical, kind of dive into these different education models. And it's so easy to do this now with like social media. You can just go to Instagram and say like Waldorf homeschooling, and you're gonna like it really like pick up on what style resonates with you. And the reason I recommend that you go through this like research process is because you need to be in the game way more than your children are. So
Mm.
you need to like really know what you think and what your education philosophy is before you go and try to like do it with your children, because what ended up happening to me is that I just picked what I really loved and then just tried a lot of different things with my daughters. Some things worked, some things didn't, but because I was willing to experiment and try different things, that helped us like craft the right learning plan for her. So what I really did is I started off with Montessori because that was the first thing that I really liked. And she was 3 years old when I really started doing some things with her. So I had a shelf. I would say it's so important to establish a routine right off the bat so they know what to expect, you know what to expect, and you're just kind of getting into the groove of it. But I tried to do way too much at first, and it totally blew up in my face to where she like didn't want to do anything at all.
Yeah.
And then I figured out less is more. That if I just focus on reading to her every day, playing with her every day, teaching her independent skills, going outside, we'd go to the library, go to the park, like just did very simple things in the early years, yielded the best results. So I would say you are not trying to recreate school at home. What you're doing is, along with researching what you really think an education should be like, because this is the beauty of it. You don't have to do what the school system's doing. Even if you're in a state where you have to log in your hours and turn in specific items that you've worked on, like a portfolio of some kind, you still have the authority as their parent to choose what learning style, learning environment, curriculum, all of those things that you need to prove to the state that you're teaching them can still be done in your own way. You just need to figure out what that is, like what your own philosophy is. And I know that sounds like really intimidating to people, but it's like, do you want your children sitting down and doing 7 hours of book work with you like they would in a school? Okay, if that's not what you want to do, then kind of start peeling the onion and deciding what is necessary and what's not. So basically, like our schooling from even then, it has evolved into we just like really focus on the basics and then we do a lot of passion led learning. So I'm saying all of this that it took me a while to get there. I tried a ton of different curriculums. I tried a lot of different education philosophies. I tried different schedules, but in that like beautiful process, I had a lot of growth. My children had a lot of growth, and we really like figured out the right balance and like exactly what we needed. And it helped me to like cultivate the vision that I had for our family and the vision that I had for them, like what I wanted for their life and how can I give that to them as their parent. So that's kind of where I started.
Oh man, that's awesome. And you know that you're right. That can sound a little overwhelming in the beginning, but a lot of this, at the end of the day, our kids, right? We love them. They're super important and we have to find ways to prioritize. And there are ways. Now, when you started this, is this at a time that you were working or just you got, okay. So,
Yes.
so
And I
you,
would say,
yeah.
when you were at home working with your children, there are different seasons. So if
Okay.
you have a child that's like, if you have any children that are under the age of 5, you are probably not going to be able to get a lot of work done unless you're getting up really early in the morning before them, or you're working when your husband is home, or you have some kind of babysitter. And that is just out of the necessity that they, at that age, they're getting into a lot of things. Even if you put on like a little show for them, you could get a little bit of stuff done. So I would also say be flexible in like the type of work that you do. If you are like the one that's responsible for them full time, because I mean you can't have like a crawling baby around and you're trying to write a blog. So I mean I wasn't always doing like a lot of copywriting when my girls were really little, because I would not be able to write a paragraph without them getting into something, right? So I did a lot of different jobs. Like I babysat during the early years a lot, and like I said, I sold on eBay and sold on Craigslist. And then my mom actually came and watched my girls, and I did an after school reading program for our local library.
Oh, wow.
So, and that was one of the tips that I'm actually going to give, and I'll go ahead and add it in here.
Please do.
Working and homeschooling, but even just homeschooling on its own and not working, you cannot do this alone. And I don't want to say that to like deter people, but to encourage people that it has to be a community effort. It can't just be you trying to do it all. It has to be you and somebody else that's in this with you. For me, that was my husband. He definitely has always been very supportive of us homeschooling.
Yeah.
So he was very flexible on like when he wasn't working, he had our girls, so I could be working. Or I had, and before my mom passed away, we had my mom was watching our daughters a lot. So that what I say or what I'm saying is that you have to figure out how to change your life, maneuver your schedule around your children. And the ages are very different. So, like now, I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. For example, my best friend and I swapped. She takes them to PE one afternoon. So, I have the whole afternoon to work peacefully, quietly. It's
Yes.
awesome. And then she has a whole afternoon that I take her children. So that's what I mean is
Yeah.
that it has to be like this community effort. You kind of have to get creative, swap with people
Yeah.
on childcare, swap with your husband. Get up early in the morning. That did not work well for me, but some women like I know a homeschooling mom that I follow on Instagram, and she gets up at 5 o'clock and like works 2 hours every day before her kids get up. I've tried doing that and it just does not work for me. So a lot of it too is just trial and error, like what works for you
Yeah.
and without burning yourself out, without making yourself overwhelmed, without not taking care of yourself,
Hmm.
then that's what you're able to figure out how to do.
And I want to say you kind of stepped on a point there that I was going to ask you about for moms out there who could be worried about socialization. When you think of homeschooling, you think, well, how are my kids going to socialize? How are they going to do that? What would you advise to them about that? Because I know that there are opportunities out there for it, but I mean, some of us don't know what they are.
There's a lot of opportunities.
Hmm.
I actually make the joke that we have like too many things that we have access to do that we
Yeah.
have to say no.
Yeah.
And that really is a concern of a lot of people. And what I say is, well, when they're homeschooling, they are living life with you in the adult world constantly. And that includes even at your home. They are seeing what it's like to get up every day and run a household, to cook, to clean, to buy groceries, do, like you said, do your budget, go to the post office, go to the grocery store. My girls have been very well accustomed to just coming along with me for like work and business meetings. And they have just had to learn like the proper manners and expectations of doing so. I grew up personally, my dad is a dean of a university and he was a college professor before. I grew up like my brother and I would just go to work with him and we would just wait and hang out in his office while he taught a class, or we would just like go and sit in meetings with him. And we were little, like I'm talking, I was like 8 years old and my brother was 4 years old. I don't think that people really, because our society is like so individualistic. We individually put our children in schools, we put our elderly people in elderly homes, and then the working middle age adults are out like working their own jobs. We're not like intermingled in this community together. And the thing that I'm the most passionate about homeschooling is that it's about family. It's about getting back to cultivating a lifestyle that is surrounded and centered around your family. So you have to like trust that the way you're running your family and the opportunities and the things that you're getting out and doing, that is what is socializing your children. It's not them being in a school with the same children and the same people all day, every day, doing the same things. Instead, they are being socialized by the real world. And that's why I like really put that point out there is that people don't think children can handle that, but they really can if you give them the opportunity and you raise them that way. I mean, before the Industrial Revolution, before people started going to schools, families lived and worked together and their children just did everything with them. And I have followed that philosophy in my own life, and it has worked out like really nicely so far. So far. So that's why I just, yeah, say kind of all of that, that it really is like a mindset that your life is a learning experience. Your life is socializing with people and learning how to like navigate those different relationships. You're teaching them how to do it in real world time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. Never thought of it like that, and that's a beautiful way to see it because you're right. They are good. One of my, I guess, philosophies or the way I like raising my children is the way I want them to, the way I view it is that, they are going to be adults one day. What kind of adults do I want my kids to become? Like, I want them to be independent. I want them to be responsible. I don't want them to ever have victim mindsets to think that, oh, woe is me and so I need things handed to me. Like, no, I want them to really enjoy life. I want them to go after their dreams, to believe in themselves, to love themselves. Oh, more than anything. But be responsible too. And so I think that's a fantastic point of view of that. Yeah, as a parent, you not only are the role models, but you really get to let them see that and learn that through homeschooling as well. Because yeah, they're sponges, aren't they? They will soak up everything, and it's important that we take that seriously because it is easy to just kind of fall into the whole I don't want to be bothered. I just want to do this and blah blah blah. Or I'm mentally drained after working a long day, and you don't want to take the time, because you're not taking the time for yourself. Therefore, you definitely cannot take the time for anyone else. And it happens a lot. Yeah, I think sounds like an incredible way to go. And do you, right now, where you're at, are you working with people and helping them with this journey for themselves?
I am not. It's definitely something that
Hmm.
I have considered. I've had a lot of people ask me to do homeschool coaching, especially when I left virtual
Yeah.
teaching. And I'm definitely open to it. You can always like reach out to me on my social media accounts,
Hmm.
and I definitely am open to it because I am passionate about helping people. And I think that you really like nailed it on the head, that you really have to like get into the right mindsets, and having the right mindset and
Yeah.
work ethic will open up doors for you. And I cannot express this enough, that people get so stuck in the mindset that like, well, I can't do it. I don't have that, like the victim mindset that you're
Yeah.
talking about. When you
Yeah.
tell yourself that you can't do it, you're literally like
Yeah.
not going to do it.
Oh
So
yeah.
you have to like be in the right mindset. And I think that you get there by like knowing yourself, knowing what you really want out of life. Like for me, I want to like live my life by my own terms and to follow God and to
Yeah.
follow my husband. Anything else outside of that, I'm going to like highly question.
Yeah.
So I think that if you really like know what you want out of life, know what you want for your children, and then you take that to get yourself in the right mindset, that you're going
Mhm.
to like figure out how to make it work. Just doing that step alone, you will be amazed at the doors
Yeah.
that will
So,
open for you. Because I've had people
yeah.
say, well, it really must be nice to live next door to your best friend. And, she takes your kids and you take her kids. And I'm like, it wasn't always that way, guys. Like,
Yeah.
just because somebody has something like great,
Yeah.
always take a step back and like reflect. And I had to learn this the hard way myself, is that if you're feeling like a little jealous of
Yeah.
someone, that is yourself, your mind telling you that that's something that you seek.
Yeah.
And instead of like putting negative feelings in it, you can turn that into like motivation to
Yeah.
say, because I remember I used to be jealous of moms that didn't have to work and they got to be home with their kids and all of that. And then it was like, but how can maybe I get to where I can be home?
Yeah.
Like how can I make that a reality for me? So I would definitely like also say that if you're like, even if you are not naturally self-disciplined, that you don't have natural self-management skills, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't get there. And those skills will hugely benefit you being a homeschool mom, being a working homeschool mom. But you definitely have to be in the right mindset to do it, for sure.
Hey there, aspiring entrepreneurs. Ready to turn your free time into a flourishing digital marketing business? Introducing Lipo Max, your comprehensive all-in-one package for launching a successful venture. With Lipo Max, you'll get access to over 200 in-depth, beginner-friendly training videos tailored to your needs. Plus, enjoy lifetime access with continuous course updates, weekly training calls, and ongoing community support. All without any monthly fees or extra charges. And the best part? You'll benefit from a high-demand digital product, the course, expertly crafted and ready for immediate sale. Yes, that means you earn 100% profit on every sale. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to transform your free time into a profitable business. Join LipoMax today and watch your dreams take flight. Click on the link in the show note today to learn more. No, it really is where it's at, is the mindset. And that is the biggest thing that holds us back, is our own mind, our own self. Like, we get in our own way all the time. And you're right. If there's so many people out there, I hear it all the time, oh, I'm too busy. Oh, I just can't. Oh, I don't, my life is different than hers. So it's, but it's like, you don't really know what goes on. And there's evidence all around us of people who make it happen all the time. So why not you? Right? That's how I felt. Like, I remember just kind of seeing certain things, and the same thing, kind of noticing where I was like, oh man, I wish I could do that. And instead of like hating on her, it was more of like, I realized, okay, wow, apparently that's what I want for my life. That's what I need. And so I was like, I decided to learn from her. Like, you can't, things that happen for this certain people isn't always going to work out, like you say, exactly for you, which is fine, because we're all meant to have our own unique paths, right? But it doesn't hurt to learn and to seek. And, that is one of the biggest things that I notice, is that it's about changing your habits. We want certain things, and yet we're not willing to change. Well, you can't get different results if you keep showing up doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. Like, that's not how it works. And I get it. It's not easy, but that's why there's coaches out there. That's why there's, therapists out there. That's why there's all sorts of programs and things out there to help you, because you can't do it on your own a lot of times. I mean, not that you can't, I shouldn't say that like that, but it's hard. It's much harder to try to do all this and figure it all on yourself. Why try to put yourself through that when you can have people who really will help guide you and support you along the way? Because I don't think I would have done it without the community, without the support that I've had. I know I wouldn't be where I am today. It's a huge part of it, but it's all about me too, making the decision that, okay, I want change. I want different results. Like, I'm grateful though, in so many ways, of where I'm at in my life already. I've come a long way. I know you kind of briefly spoke about your brother, and we had talked about him before, and we were on similar paths. I had my addiction problems in my past. And so knowing that I was blessed to have survived that and be where I'm at today, I obviously know that I am meant for more. I am meant to something, and maybe just sharing my story, showing up for everybody how I can, it can make a difference for some people and help them to believe in themselves and realize, well, hey, if she can do it, so can I. So I highly love, like, push for that, and am passionate about helping people on their path, because I've been there. I know what it's like to want change, and then be kind of fall into that victim mindset of like, oh, well, my life though, it's different. I'm in this small town. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not good enough. I know what that's like, because that's what's held me back for so long. And it's just wonderful getting on the other side of that. It's truly wonderful. Yeah. So
It it really is. And it's like such a testament to what you're saying, that because I like decided to take this path of coming home to be a full-time mom and then deciding to homeschool, I was given the opportunity to like really have huge growth in my own self. Like, I was suffering from a lot of depression because I was working full time. And I think that was like one of the things that just like shook me up whenever my brother did pass away,
yeah.
that I can't, like, I was not thriving. And that's the biggest thing, that I think people don't have the courage to like stand up and just say, I need help, And
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, you have to do that for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to say, I can't do this all by myself. And that's why I
Yeah.
mentioned you really cannot do this all by yourself.
Yes.
And that is okay. And it's
Yeah.
going to make it a way more beautiful experience by having community.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had great success with having coaches. I've had like just individual coaches work with me. I had a lot more healing happen in a more productive way by having a coach guide me through grief
Mm-hmm.
and guide me through different events that went through my life. Having a coach was just a lot more productive
Yeah.
because we were actually working on issues
Yeah.
versus like staying in the mindset of like, well, that was really horrible that your childhood was like that, or that this happened, or that happened.
Yeah.
It was a much more productive path. And by asking for that help, I was able to like take the next step and then take the next step and then take the next step. And like now I would say I still am a hot mess, Mary, but
We all.
I am showing up
Yeah.
every day.
Exactly.
And when you get up and you just show up every day consistently,
Yeah.
even if you have a bad day, you just get up and do it right back over again.
Yeah.
And having the people in my community encouraging me and pushing me along to do that is what helped me the most. And I really see a lot of like moms and
Yeah.
homeschooling moms, especially, get it like stuck into this black hole of like like being a martyr, like I have to do everything, I have to
Mm.
do all of this. And a lot of that comes from a space of not loving yourself. And I want to tell everybody that you must love yourself
Yeah.
enough to take care of yourself. And when you take care of yourself first,
Yeah.
then you're able to not only meet goals and dreams that you have, but you're able to come to the people in your life in a way that's going to be healing and loving to them
Yeah.
and not in a negative, toxic way.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to love yourself and to show up for yourself and get out of the victim mindset and know that you have the power to change your life.
Yeah.
You have the power to make things different. You have the power to change your habits. And you really do need that mindset to make any kind of big change in your life. And it doesn't even have to be you're wanting to go
Yeah.
work and do homeschooling at the same time. It can be anything,
Oh yeah.
absolutely anything.
Yeah. And so someone out there who's listening right now, the mindset's a great thing. And what other advice would you give them to encourage them and inspire them to, if this is something on their heart, as far as looking into how you manage outside of the community, outside of that, what other advice would you give them as far as going for it? Like, just how they can juggle it all to a point?
Okay, so that's why the first thing I said was mindset. You definitely
Yes.
have to have
And the
the mindset
community is a big part of it.
and community. And that's why I say you
Mhm.
cannot do it by yourself. You really need either your husband, wife, partner
Mhm.
in on this with you, or if you were a single parent,
Yeah.
you need to have a family member. Or
Okay.
like I have my best friend, like my best friend and I are ride or die. Like we both homeschool
Yeah.
and we've been inseparable since. I know that not everybody has that, but what I'm saying is at least get one person to
Yeah.
have your back,
Okay.
and really like come to them in a vulnerable state and say, this is really, really important to me. And I know if I don't do this, it's gonna like affect me in this negative way. And I really like need you in this fashion. What can you do for me? What is manageable for you that's not overwhelming to you? And like have a real conversation of like
Yeah.
what that's gonna look like. Are you gonna need childcare? Are you going to need to just have some time alone so that you have a break every day? Like it can be anything that you need. You just need to be vulnerable enough to ask for it.
Yeah.
And that's really, really hard for us to do because we feel like that's a weak position. But I'm here to tell you that's actually the courageous position
Yeah.
to be able to ask for help. Like when that's what we were saying earlier, to say, I can't do this all on my own
Yeah.
is a sign of strength. So just know you are not a failure
No.
by not being able to do everything on your own, because that's actually completely impossible. People don't like the school system is not being done with one person. So you need to not think that it's going to be done with just one person in your home either. And you don't need to
Right.
put all that burden on yourself
Yeah.
either. And then, okay, so I have like really, really good tips.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
say start simple,
yeah.
do not overwhelm yourself. And I say start simple that I have a very simple schedule. I like break up my day in 4 blocks. So my first block is my time.
I
So
love
I
it.
get up before everybody else. That's when I do my quiet time. I'm an introvert. I have found I have to have that space to myself every day in order to be the wife and mom that I want to be, to show up in a peaceful, calming fashion.
Mm.
So that is my block. And that is like when I'm getting ready, I'm eating breakfast, I'm doing
Yeah.
my vitamins, I do like a little exercise or stretching. I'm not going to the gym. I'm seriously doing something for like 10 minutes exercise wise. So I'm not saying I have it all together, but I use that block of the first part of the day for me. And then of course I have to like come in and, make breakfast for my girls and kind of get them started on their day. But that outside of that, that is really like me getting in the right headspace. Then my second block of the day is doing school with my girls. And again, I keep it very simple. I cannot teach them all the things. I can just teach them what I can. So I just focus on the really important subjects that I know they need my one-on-one attention with. And then they have their own independent work that they do. So I would also say train your children as young as possible. I would say as a teacher, 8 years old, second grade, around that time is a really good developmental time to start teaching your children to do some independent schoolwork. And like independent schoolwork examples are like handwriting, cursive, copywriting, typing, some math work, like subjects like that that they can do independently.
Yeah.
And this is also teaching them their own self discipline, that
Yeah.
they have to get up and they have their own work that they have to do. And this allows you time to like get things ready or to work with one of the other children. So, like when one of them is doing independent work, I'm working with the other one on one. And what I mean, like, just keep it simple. You do not have to overcomplicate it. You do not have to do a science experiment every day or art project.
Yeah.
I really tell people allow your community to bring those kind of opportunities to your kids if you can't do it. And that is okay. Again, homeschooling is about your family at the center, and then your community around you enhances the learning experiences for your children. And then the next block of the day that I do, which I'm in right now, is like my working block.
Yeah.
And I either have my children going somewhere, doing something, or that is like 2 days a week. That is their free time. That's when they get to be on their tablets.
Yeah.
They get to watch their shows. They get to play the games that they like to play. So that's like
Good.
exciting for them
Yeah.
because we designate it to that block of time. They don't get to do it at the other time, so
Yep.
that gives them that freedom. They look forward to it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I can actually get some work done. And then my last block of the day is like all family focused. It's getting dinner done,
Bath
cleaning
time.
up from the day. I also do not clean up anything until the very end of the day. If I just spent my whole day picking up stuff, I would go freaking insane. So that's another tip I have on
Mm-hmm.
just keeping it simple, is just save everything to clean it up all at the same time, clean it all up. And then at the end of the night, I actually go and read or I go take a bath. So I start my day with self care and I end my day with self care. And then when I'm done with that self-care at night, then I go and I'm rejuvenated and I like have bedtime with my girls and I read to them and I help them get ready for bed. I'm not perfect about this all the time. Sometimes I just want to like lay in my bed and scroll on my phone because I'm tired and I make my husband do bedtime. I'm being real with you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not perfect with the schedule, but I keep it simple and I allot
Mhm.
things in blocks and I stay home a lot. We do not say yes to everything because I can't do that and work and
Yeah.
homeschool. It
Mhm.
just isn't possible. So I have to say no to things. But then, as I've learned that that actually has allowed me to say yes to bigger things.
Mm.
So, like, for example, I've always wanted to start my own business,
Yeah.
but I've always had to like have jobs working for other people because I was trying to figure out how to actually make money having my
Yeah.
own business, right?
Yep.
But because I was able to say no to so many things, I was given the opportunity to have the time and energy to start my own business. So that's what I did. So that's what I'm telling you is that by saying no to things, you're immediately opening up opportunity for other things to come into your life that will likely be more important to you. So also don't feel the pressure to say yes to everything because you're trying to like be mom of the year or dad of the year by trying to do all the things.
Yeah, or even
Um,
allowing the social pressures of like how you should or shouldn't be a mom or how you shouldn't raise your kids, like define how you feel is right for you and your family. And this is why, like what you're saying, healthy boundaries. It's so important part of the process of self-care and self-love. It's okay to say no. I think we just so many, I was a people pleaser majorly growing up. And it was a hobby that one of the hardest things I had to change about myself was stop being a people pleaser, stop worrying about what everyone else is going to think because I say no or because I can't do certain things with them like I used to or whatever. And just, yeah, it's so important. It's such an important part of the process. And very much like I can see where you're saying it does open the doors of opportunities for you to really put the right energy into the right places. It really does. I love it. I love
yes,
it.
and you need to treat your energy as any other form of currency.
Yeah.
And I heard a coach actually say this one time that she will say no to things if she knows in the end of that it is going to deplete her energy versus like
Yeah.
enhance her energy.
Love
So
it.
there are activities that we do, like talking to you right now today. Like I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna be like have all kinds of energy after this,
I
right?
love it. Me too.
Right. So say yes to the things that are
Yeah.
gonna bring you energy
Mhm.
instead of saying yes to the things that are gonna drain your energy. Obviously, we have to do things that drain our energy. I do not want to clean the bathroom, but
Sorry.
I have to do it. So,
Yes.
I mean, obviously, like,
Yeah.
people are like, oh, well, you still have to do stuff. Yes.
Well,
Okay. There's your negative mindset. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, there's things. And guess what? You don't have to clean the bathroom every day.
mm-mm.
So,
Yeah, I
if
feel
you
it.
can,
I love that. Yes, that yeah. Cause I had to change my perspective about it because there was a time like you said earlier about the whole waiting until the end of the day, where like during the daytime I kept trying and it was like 5 minutes later it's a mess again. It looked like I didn't even touch anything, and I used to allow it to like really stress me out and give me this anxiety because I was raised in a very clean environment. My mom, it was cleaning was such a big deal. And so it was hard. It gave me anxiety. And I finally was like shifting my mindset of being like, I'm just grateful that I have a family, that I have kids and that love me and that that are provide bringing me so much fulfillment. So instead of worrying about the mess, it's like it'll get cleaned up. It's okay. I look at it now and I'm like, I'm truly blessed to be where I'm at, and it's okay. So even though I still have to vacuum, I still got to wipe the counters down, and do all that. It's nice to go into it with a different perspective because it's like, yeah, you're right. You still got to clean that bathroom, but you don't have to let it. You know be the worst thing of the world, the worst thing ever. You don't have to let it bring you down so much. It's just
yeah,
just get it done when you get it done. And it's so much better for everyone involved when you do that. And get your kids
yes.
involved. My son has been cleaning his own bathroom since he was 7 years old. He still does. He cleans his own bathroom. He does his own laundry. He cleans his own room. he does the dishes now. He mows the, I mean, like he does, I've taught him since he was young. Even my 2 and 3 year old, they put their own dishes in the sink. They throw away their own trash. I'm working with them now to clean up after themselves in their bedrooms and things like that. Yeah, it might be messy for a day or two. I might let it go, whatnot, because we got things going on. Not a big deal. But when the time comes and we clean up, we work together. And I'm already incorporating them in that. I'm like, you know what? Clean up after yourself. It's okay. And it's so nice. It's good for them. And it's definitely good for you as a mom to delegate and take some of that off of you. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And you hit it on the money that you really need to like let go of the idea that you have to do everything for your
Yeah.
children. And that's good, and that's good for
Hmm.
them because it really isn't. Children like to have responsibility.
Yeah.
They like to take ownership of things. No, they don't want to like clean and do chores, but when you make it about it, this is our family,
Yeah.
many hands make light work is what I always,
I
like to
like
say when everybody's like, I don't clean up.
that.
I'm like, well, we all have to pitch in. We
Yeah.
all made all these messes. It wasn't
Yeah.
just me, it wasn't just you, it wasn't
Yeah.
just you. We're gonna all work together and make it happen. And you really like just need to do that, and it'll make things so much easier on you, but you're also raising children that are going to grow into adults that
Yeah.
will be able to do that themselves. And like using the example of the bathroom, I think that I grew up in a really clean house too. I'm totally OCD. Like when it was just my
Hmm.
husband and I wanted everything like perfect. Like if a pillow was in the wrong spot on the couch, I
Yeah.
had to like put it right back. Becoming and being a stay-at-home mom has chilled me out. Let me
Have.
tell you. And especially being a homeschool mom,
Oh, I bet.
because I always have had a shelf where they can do all kinds of art. They're always like creating and making some kind of mess.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have that type of environment for them. If I quickly learned that I was like stealing their creativity if I just like picked up after them all day. So just know you do not have to do that. And like for something like the bathroom, you do not have to do that all in one swoop. You
Okay.
have permission to only clean the toilet and then the next day only clean the sink. The next day only clean. Like, just give yourself permission to do things that make you happy, that help you be in a good mood and conserve your energy. Like, for example, I always felt like because I was the one home that I needed to do all the dishes all the time, and then I like figured out that, well, I'm doing all the cooking, I'm doing all the meal planning. And I noticed myself being like a little resentful of my
Yeah.
husband. And then I figured out like, that's so toxic of me to allow myself to have a feeling that is negative towards him when he has like nothing to do with it. So another thing that I say is don't do things for people that are going to make you resent them
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
It's okay if the dishes don't get done, they just don't get done.
Yeah.
And I quit. I like really learned through that experience that if I just said I'm too tired to do them, then it's like, well, then I'll just do it for you. Like I don't care, I'll just do it. So you have to have like those conversations in kind of your everyday life that
Mhm.
like what's working, what's not working, because seasons will change with your kids too. And as they get older, they can help you out with more stuff. But when they're younger,
Yeah.
you are going to be doing a lot more for them. So don't
Mhm.
have so much pressure on yourself in other
Yeah.
areas while they're younger, because the expectations are different than when they're 12 years old. And like 14, 15, like you said, your son can like mow the grass for you now.
Now.
Well, I mean, he couldn't do that for you when he was 2 years old.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
also remind
Yeah.
yourself of the
Hmm.
season that you're in with your children.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. And that's another thing I focus on is that you're right. These are temporary and you need to embrace every bit that you can as positively as you can because man, do they grow up so fast. They grow up so fast and the next thing you know, they won't be there anymore or they'll move on, and so it's like it's so important to stop always focusing on the the chaos of it all, like right now, because it's not always gonna be. And one day you're probably gonna miss that mess. You're gonna miss the screams and the laughing and the running around and things like that. It really does go by so fast. So even if it feels stressful right now, I always remind myself that, like, you know what, Mary, it's not going to be like this forever. It's not going to, and even so, it's like I'm going to miss a lot of it too. So it's like I try to really just soak it all in. And I feel blessed that I get to be at home and work and have my kids because, with my first one,
Mhm.
I wasn't like that. He was in daycare and I worked full time. And so, we had that limited evening time or the weekends, things like that. But it's so nice for me getting this other experience. And I would pick this. I mean, I have people sometimes I hear dissing about being at home. I can't stand it, drives me crazy. And that's fine. If that doesn't work for you, then do what you need to for you. That is no problem. But I personally, for me, I love it. I guess I do enjoy going out. I do, things like that, but I also love being at home. I like the flexibility of my job and my life. I like to be able to, like I said, to embrace all those moments with my kids. And this is why homeschooling is something that I have been considering because, not only am I a little worried about the school system, but at the same time, I'm just thinking about the time I get with them that I will never get back. And if this is another opportunity that I get to be a part of what they're learning. And Lord knows my husband, who is fantastic and very educated, very intelligent. I know I feel good about having him as my support, and I know I will always have his support. So I like that. And I do know other women who are involved in homeschooling who have even told me that they have groups where they'll get their kids together who are all in homeschool and do like activities together to kind of almost help with the socialization as well. So if that is something
Mhm.
that might be a concern as well for somebody listening, look into that. See what's local. See what kind of, there's so many people out there homeschooling and they're probably looking for opportunities to get together with kids and go to the park and have like some activities and things like that. So, there's always, you know, so many resources, so much out there, so much help. So definitely check into that. And Krista, if you can tell us a little bit about listeners who are listening, if they want to come find you, reach out to you, tell us a little bit about where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook or Instagram. My business is Hire a Mama, and I am a marketing copywriter. So that's what I do for work. I do like a lot of SEO writing, social media, Google business. So I actually help small business owners have their outreach on the interweb. So I kind of help them craft their content that aligns with what their vision is for their life and what their values are. And then I write that content for them and put it on their website, write Google business posts. I do a lot of like social media posts for clients. So that is where you can find me. And it's Hire a Mama and it's Momma. A lot of people spell it the other way, but
Yeah.
that's how I have it. So
Oh, that's awesome. I
that is
love
that is where
that.
you can find me. I have not done anything quite like homeschooling specifically related because I've been working on this copywriting business and getting that up and
Yeah.
running.
No,
Um,
that's wonderful. And that's something right there. I mean, that's there you go. Like so I guess with you is like that's been like your experience is like you realize that the best way to do it is having that help and where you focus when you focus and then you on the schooling and then you got your time for your work stuff and things like that. And your kids are older now, so I can imagine that it's got to be easier at this point of like being like, hey, mommy's got to get some work done. And unlike the 3 and 4 year olds who like to be like, they one ear and out the other. They're
yeah,
like still crawling and mommy, I need this, mommy, it's like at least you have that. You get to that point where they get there. There's that respect and understanding, real understanding of like giving mommy her space when she needs to do her thing.
exactly. And my
Yeah.
and my daughters are really good at doing that now. But like I said, and I really encourage this in people, when you see people living their life a certain way, you're only getting like a little tiny glimpse of it. And I will say that working in homeschooling when your children are younger is more difficult in a lot of different ways, but you can still do it. You definitely can still do it. You just have to be a little bit more creative with it. And that's why I really like emphasize caring for yourself Because when you show up for yourself, you all of a sudden start to love yourself more, you respect yourself more, and that gives you the ability to ask people for help. Because I certainly know that I was in a space at one time where I just didn't feel like I was worthy to ask for help, that this is the life I signed myself up for and I'm just going to do it. And really, that anxiety, the cure to that is gratitude. And you nailed it on the money earlier when you said, I get to be at home with my kids. I get to have this job working from home. Like, constantly tell yourself those things like, I get to do this. I
Yeah.
get to be here with my kids. Even if it's really, really hard, you will really like shift your
Yeah.
mindset by going into a space of gratitude versus, okay, this is like horrible. And you're
Yeah.
just thinking of like all the negative
Oh,
things. You
yeah.
can
Like a day.
always
Oh, yeah.
fix that with gratitude.
Exactly. Or using the language like somebody like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to, and trust me, I was there too. Like that's why we do what we do because we've been there and we really do understand and we want to help support people in that area. And I love that you help small businesses with their content, things like that, because that is so important. And again, something that so many of us as entrepreneurs need that assistance with because we get so overwhelmed having to take it on because financial reasons or just because we feel like we got to do it ourselves. And it's so nice to learn to delegate and free up your time so that you can focus on what you need to focus on, even when within your own business, especially within your own business, because there's nothing worse than having to deal with the technical or the things that you're not really passionate about part of it while trying to also still show up for it. And so I think it's awesome if you have an opportunity to hire someone like Krista, to go out there to take some of that off of you and help you so you can really put in the passion and the focus where it needs to be for sure.
Yes, I like to tell people that I am your own little marketing assistant and I am allowing you to stay in your unicorn space. My unicorn space is writing. I'm good at it. I love it. I love helping like craft content that help businesses shine.
Yeah.
And that's really like I would have never been able to like get to the point where I knew that's really what I wanted to do if I didn't go through like all this other stuff that we kind of like touched on today.
Yeah.
So I just people just to know that you're not going to always have it all figured out. I still don't have it figured out. If I've learned anything, it's that I'm humbled that I can always learn from other people for one. And the more I've learned that I don't know anything.
Right. Oh God, I agree so much with that. But that's what I love about life. It doesn't matter. We're always learning, we're always growing. So let's help each other out. Let's,
Exactly.
let's help each other
Exactly.
out. Cause I mean, at the end of the day, we all deserve to live good lives. And they want us to believe that only a few amount of people are allowed that. No, there's enough out there for everybody. And if we could find a way to like get more united in this journey instead of dividing and jealousy and feeling like we're in competition with each other, it would blow everyone. I mean, we'd all like flourish so quickly and so amazingly. And that's part of what I hope to accomplish with my journey is to help bring that together for moms, especially, but anyone really, if you really think about it, this goes for anyone in their lives. If you want, everything. So yeah, thank you so much, Krista, for everything you've shared. And is there any final thoughts, any final, advice you want to put out there for anyone listening?
Um, so I know I came on here to talk about homeschooling, so I'm just going to end it. If you are on the fence with homeschooling, I highly, highly recommend reading John Taylor Gatto, especially if you're more of a freedom mindset person. If you like that type of content, I highly, highly recommend diving into his work to explore whether homeschooling is for you or not.
Yeah.
And if you are already homeschooling and you're in this space of like trying to figure out how to make some additional income, as I know the times with inflation, like everything's so expensive. I'm going to tell you as a teacher that you need to get really, really clear on what your desires are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and find out how you can get paid for skills that you already have. And
Yeah.
if you do this process and find that you need to learn skills, I am telling you, as a homeschool mom and a previous teacher and somebody that taught me everything that I know that I do in my own business, you can teach yourself almost just about anything or find a mentor to teach you. So don't ever feel like you can't change your life. You absolutely can. You just have to take like the baby steps. But the first step to get there is to really figure out yourself. And that's where a coach comes in and can really help you figure out all of those type of things. So I would highly recommend somebody like Mary or anybody else to help you figure out what it is you could do to turn into a skill and get paid, because we are on the cusp of the like digital revolution.
Yes.
It is the information age. More
Mm-hmm.
and more people are having online businesses. More and more people are freelancing. There are opportunities out here to make money. You just need to figure out what you want, what you're good at, what you're not good at, and let the rest of it take care of itself. Because as we said earlier, if you just have the right mindset and you show up, doors will open up for you. So I just want to have this as an encouragement that this lifestyle isn't closed off to everybody. Everybody can make it work. It just is going to look different for everyone.
Yes. And and that's exactly right. That's what my program right there is all about, is helping you to uncover your true and confident self, figuring out who you are outside of your roles as a mom, and just, really uncovering your unique purpose and how you can monetize it, how you can turn it around and make something of it if that's what you want. Not everybody even wants to be an entrepreneur. That's okay. If that's the case, well, then what are you passionate about? What do you want to do with your life? How do you want to feel every day? Like, it's all about feeling good and finding a way to get through life and through your challenges and the obstacles in the most positive way possible, because life is unpredictable. Life is going to be hard at times, and that's just part of it, but it doesn't mean it has to tear you down. It doesn't have to be the end all be all, and that's what we hope for, to strive for with everything that we do. So thank you, Krista, again, so much for being part of this and bringing awareness to the homeschooling thing, because this is a new topic and I'm excited. And I do think it's very important to look into that and research to find out if it is right for you. And I'm definitely going to be looking more into this thanks to you. So I appreciate so much for all of the great tips, all the great advice, and just being here with me in my presence.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for just letting me brain dump all my thoughts on you.
Oh, I love it. So, no, I love it so much. Truly enjoyed talking with Krista. Here are the key takeaways from today's episode. Reflect on how you're spending your time and the impact it has on your family. If you feel like your current lifestyle isn't aligning with your values or goals, it might be time to consider a change. Your motivation for homeschooling should be strong, whether it's dissatisfaction with the current education system or a desire to spend more quality time with your children. Your reasons will fuel your commitment. Transitioning from a full-time job to homeschooling is significant. It's crucial to plan and prepare rather than making impulsive decisions. Utilize your existing skills and qualifications in creative ways to support your new lifestyle. This could involve selling items online or tapping into previous professional experience. Educate yourself by reading relevant books, blogs, and other materials. For instance, Dumbing Us Down by John Taylor Gatto is a highly recommended read that can provide valuable insights. Trust that you can provide an excellent education for your children. Your dedication and love for your kids can drive you to teach them effectively. It's possible to homeschool while still contributing financially. Explore different income streams that allow flexibility, such as starting your own online business or freelance work. Ensure that your partner is on board and supportive. A unified approach makes the transition smoother and more sustainable. Homeschooling can lead to raising free-thinking and independent children. The decision to homeschool, though challenging, can have long-lasting positive effects on your family's future. If you want to learn more about Krista and her services, be sure to click the links in the show notes below. If you know anyone who would benefit from hearing this conversation, please be sure to share it with them. I hope this has inspired anyone listening. I truly appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you can stay updated on the episodes to come. Also, leave us a review or a 5-star rating so we can continue to grow and reach as many amazing moms out there. Your support is much appreciated. Be sure to check out more on the new course, Mom Biz Mastery, now available for any moms looking to build and grow your own business and not only learn what it takes, but to get the true support and guidance needed to keep going as you do the work and build your confidence towards the successful life you deserve. For a limited time, you can get in at the lowest price available for such incredible value and unwavering support with lifetime access. Click on the link in the show notes or visit me at marydibblecoaching.com to learn more about this amazing opportunity. Thank you all again for listening. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Until next time, much love.